Ooh, that smells good.
Welcome the final three to the rites of passage. You have outlasted 14 other people, and as such, you might have a little bit to say about them, maybe a memory. So that's what we're here for. So, we are going to start.
Billy is such a stupid idiot.
The first person evicted from this game, and that was Caleb. So, whoever wants to start can.
The only thing I feel bad about Caleb was that, like, he had a funeral and I wasn't aware of his funeral until after he was evicted. And so that kind of really sucked.
Yeah.
Caleb is a personality. And I think we all know Caleb's a personality, and that was why he got evicted.
I wish it was the other personality instead of him. That's all I'm going to say, because he didn't talk much.
OT. I forgot Colby was up that week. Hey, stupid idiot, it's your turn.
I already went. Oh, the other
Caleb.
idiot.
I don't know. Caleb and I didn't really talk too much. I knew he had a funeral, but like at the end of the day, like he didn't really talk too much. I don't know. I seemed kind of fitting for our first boot. Not to be rude to him. I feel like he should get another opportunity at some point. I'm just not sure if it was this game that would be beneficial.
Was it his pet's funeral?
No, it was like a family member.
Oh, it was a family member?
Because I didn't know this.
Somebody told me it was like a pet's.
No, I knew it was a family member.
Oh wow, Billy's just a piece of shit.
Oh, you're just a cold-hearted bastard then.
I mean, I've done that all season, so like whatever.
True.
Remember when you saved me from... Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
So, if you guys are ready to move on, we will move on to Brian, the second person evicted from this game.
Who? I'm kidding.
Exactly.
I'm kidding.
Not for me. Somebody I didn't really talk to. He tried to talk to me at one point. Found it a little creepy. Not going to lie, he came up a little creepy.
In the entirety of this game, I talked to Brian exactly 0 times. He didn't try to talk to me. He didn't reach out. So putting his name down, not putting his name down, this isn't Survivor. Saying his name in the fucking at eviction I've made this week, other than the third person evicted.
Well, yeah, because it could have been me if not the other one.
It was a really simple
so basically I have a lot more to say about Brian than anybody else really. Brian was continually throwing out, like from what I heard from Heather, and I don't know what production can say because this was a long scenario. Heather came to me and told me that Brian was using my story that I told everybody in the house chat when I was against Heather, that I was using that story as a sympathy story and not an actual real life story.
I forgot about that.
And Brian was using that as a campaign speech. I think Brian was using that as a campaign speech to stay, which Jack immediately came in my PMs and told me that's not true. So there's something I do got to clear up there. I don't know what it is, but at this point I really don't know. So, fucking asshole.
My goal is to get this video demonetized.
And then Cam, do you have any words on Brian?
Like I said, didn't really talk to the guy except once. He was kind of creepy. Like, that's the only thing I've got.
That is simple enough. Then we will move on to the third person evicted.
Do we have to? Do we really have to?
We have to go through every single person. And that person is Heather Lee Cameron.
Okay, I call dibs on this one since I was against her. She at times she seemed like a sweet person, and then there was other times when
Cam, you're lagging. Cam, you're lagging real bad. Cam, you're like lagging.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck Is this better? Is
Yeah,
it
that's
better?
better.
It sounds better, yeah.
I can't do nothing about it, guys. Anyway, let me go back to full screen because I think the issue. Anyway, at times I felt like she was a sweet person. At other times, like I was trying to say when I was lagging out, I wanted to gut punch her because just some of the things she said in the chats was questionable at best. Like that was definitely when I felt the safest, in all honesty, because that was one of the cases where it was better for me to stay quiet than try to campaign, and I'm happy I stayed quiet.
Billy, do you want to go?
Heather and I at least had a tumultuous relationship, to say the least.
That is saying the least.
That's just saying the least. There's just some things that she's just someone who really got under my skin really fast for no
Billy.
reason. And I was telling people that I don't know how. She was able to do it faster than my fucking girlfriend, which is saying something.
Billy, she's not your fucking therapist.
She's not my
She's not.
therapist, apparently. So there is just a lot that went down there. If I could literally wring someone's neck out, that's probably someone I would have wrung her neck out during the season. Because her morals, her actions, and especially the things she says outside the game are extremely inappropriate and homophobic, transphobic, and it's just she needs.
Well, no, it's what I like to call
no,
fake
she,
Christian.
No, she refuses to call Nick
really
by them.
transphobic.
No, not that, because like I understand that, I heard that, I saw that, but no, it's what I like to call a fake Christian. They say they're of the Lord, they say they are good people and all that, but then everything they do, everything they say is just the utter opposite. And they think that just because they go to church on Sunday, that will instantly clean all their sins. No, if you don't actually want to change and want forgiveness, which she clearly doesn't by her actions, no.
I agree. And that was just the most frustrating part for me, because I was trying to be nice to her. I was trying to do as much as I could to help her, but that was she just crossed the line. And honestly, glad she left.
Heather.
At this point, everybody, if you're watching, you want to go and grab a cocktail, maybe some popcorn, it'll be fine. You'll come back in 5 minutes and it'll still be the same stuff coming out of his mouth.
Nah, Heather, you and I will never be friends. I don't like you. I don't particularly appreciate anything that you do. You don't add anything to my life or anybody, I don't think, in the org community's life. I think, and I mean this with the softest of hearts, I think you are a complete waste of space. I think you are disgusting and use a disability to your advantage. I think that sometimes you don't get social cues, and that's fair, and that's all right to not get things not every so often, but just to not get things. But I think using your disability as an excuse to have toxic behavior is not acceptable and not okay.
Yeah.
And she continually used her background to make it seem it was okay to say these comments on repeated basis. I understand, if you mess up one time and then we have to correct you, and then that's fine, because I get it. You grew up in a Christian community, that's fine. I understand. But for you to keep making those same mistakes, especially to that same person, it just shows that you're not willing to learn and adjust.
And the fact that you were transphobic to me, and this is the third game that we played together, and in each instance, I've explained to you, especially the first game we played together, I sat you down and we had a one-on-one talk about why it's not okay to not use the right pronouns on somebody. In 1984, we had a long talk where we weren't going to target each other because you were being misunderstood. And I felt bad, and we talked it out and had a long discussion about pronouns and what's okay and what's not okay. And then you come into this house and do the same thing, and I still have this conversation with you about the same thing, and you're still in other viewers lounges and still in other alumni chats, not only not only using the wrong pronouns for somebody else, but using the wrong pronouns for me. I think that's a slap in the face, and I think it's disgusting. And I think also side note, nobody wants the food you're making for cooking with Heather. I'm gonna be honest with that. That volcano cake looked volcano pizza looked disgusting. Nobody wants to see you on Survivor, so stop applying. Literally, just stop. Go to church. Be the perfect little church girl. Maybe settle down and marry Josh. But nobody wants you. Like, you're literally a nasty mark on the org community, and nobody wants you around. And I'm so confused why these org hosts keep casting you, because you're such a vile, toxic human being.
One of my favorite quotes from a movie, from a movie that I loved growing up, it's Dodgeball. You are a shit stain on the underwear of society. That's one of my favorite quotes. I think it perfectly applies here.
Oh yeah.
And switching from one arguably toxic person to another arguably toxic person, let's talk about Colby.
I'll go last
We
on
have
this one.
to.
Well,
I'll go last on
We'll
this.
skip.
I'll go
Keaton
first on
for
this one.
now because he got evicted in between. But
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Keaton. No, I want to talk about Keaton as a whole. So
No, we're talking about Colby first.
we're
I
going to
know,
talk about
but
Colby.
I was gonna say I wanted to like talk about each Keaton because I think 2 Keatons into the house, but we'll talk about it as a whole.
Okay. Colby, I'll go last on Colby because I
So
have questionable opinions about Colby.
same. Colby.
I don't.
We got into a big argument right before Taze where you were trolling and just being an asshole and typical Colby behavior. I don't want to say much on you because I don't know you as a person. I know you and Cam like absolutely despise each other, and I don't know the background behind that, so I can't really talk on it.
Oh, it's several things, and after this, I'll tell you the full details because I don't want to go through everything because it'll get him what he wants.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
there were some things that sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead, Nick.
No, you're good. I know you're a troll, and trolls tend to have toxic traits at times, and so I feel like that kind of just rubbed everyone the wrong way, and that's why you didn't really last that long in the house. And that's all I'll say on that.
So I'm basically only going to say this. The thing that really got me to not like him is when he was down the block, he came to me and sent me a long-ass message, which I didn't understand why he sent it to me because me and him at that point did not like each other, but he sent me a long-ass message that was then later deleted by him. All I'm going to say, so that way he can see this here as well as when I typed it to him, if it is true, good for him for wanting to live his truth. If it's not, fuck him for trying to use that as a tactic, because that is disgusting. And he's a disgusting person to me. There's no redeeming qualities with him.
Cam, I'm about to type something in the chat, and I want you to tell me just yes or no.
Well, with Nick's doing that, I'll move on to my opinion of Colby. Colby and I actually have a
Yes.
Okay.
That's if it's true, then I'm glad. If it's not, that's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Colby and I actually do have a past. We've been, I don't want to say friends, but we've been on good terms for the last 6 months or so, being a part of the same friend group. Colby does this to troll. Colby does not believe anything he says. He does it for game reasons only, which he's told me on multiple occasions. On the night that Colby left, he was legitimately talking game with me, and we were having good conversations. So I understand that what he said. I understand what he's saying is wrong. I don't approve of his actions or anything like that. But I'm telling you, Cam, that everything that Colby said was just to get a ruse out of you. I understand.
He told me he wishes I die young of diabetes. So
yeah,
that kind of even makes me less like him.
Oh, I understand that, and I don't agree with those comments either. I know he's doing it to get a ruse under people, and that's it. I don't.
Oh my God,
I know
Z's
the
here.
same thing, but
So
I didn't even It's-
in games that I know Jack has played with Colby before, Colby is a master strategist.
Oh
Um,
yeah, when Colby wants to play a game,
When Colby
and,
wants
like,
to play a
is-
game, he'll be able to manipulate whole casts of people.
Yeah, no, Colby can be incredibly smart. I don't
just
want to
think he
insert
was-
my own opinion, but I'm very made up on Colby.
Yeah,
I think Colby decided to be trolly with the
Right.
wrong type
Oh,
of
yeah.
cast. I feel like if it was a different type of cast, they would have like loved him. But like if I don't want to name drop, but if a certain duo on 10 gauge that is known for being trolly and like saying very problematic things were in this cast,
be the
I
same
believe
thing.
that like they would have clung to Colby and exactly they would have loved him and they would have ran the game. But like people like that weren't in the game, and so it just turned into a everybody get Colby out club week 4.
right. And that's the thing. Like, I felt like it was just. Not gonna lie, I did try to start a movement to save Colby week 4.
Oh, same.
That was not because I approved of Colby's strategic moves. Actually, I did the same thing week 3 with Heather.
Yeah.
Because
Y'all are disgusting.
I think it was a little more for Colby than Heather, but
it was
only on
definitely
the
more for
basis
Colby or
that-
Heather. I did bring it up to certain people, be like, listen, what if we did this? It wasn't that I wanted Cam out of the game. It was that I wanted Heather and Colby in here as hateable shields. Because the whole cast despised them, and if they were both in the game, they would have went up again on anybody's HOHs.
Exactly. I just
And-
wanted to see a Heather
I mean,
Colby
I understand it, and
nonset.
I'm happy it didn't go through.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, it was on, especially on the Colby one. I think we had 5 votes, and it was gonna tie, and Colby would have left.
I think by that point, Colby was more of like a polarizing character than Heather, so it was more beneficial to keep Colby in the game.
Right.
Because I think at the point of Heather's eviction, everybody had already made their mind up on like evicting her.
Right.
And so like Colby came to me with the idea of keeping Heather, but I was just kind of already like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work, so why even try? Not Jack's leg.
I think we're ready for the next one, Jack.
Yeah,
Very
I was
stupid
just
idiot.
looking for a lull in the conversation. So the next person evicted and the first person without a jury buyback was Darcy. So
Good morning.
I hope you're having a wonderful morning.
Poor Darcy. I liked them.
I hope your morning's as wonderful
Darcy,
as
Every
yours.
day.
Darcy is a good person. Let's not.
Darcy's such a nice person.
They are.
I just felt like Darcy was. It wasn't intentionally being fake. It just came off as you're PMing every single person in the cast
Every day.
every
Pandering?
day, and that was
The
just
word
something.
is pandering.
Yeah, and that's just something that people weren't with at the time.
I wish I would have been able to like get to know Darcy as a person more. I
Yeah,
feel
Darcy, I
like
heard
I
to-
just knew.
Darcy is a really good person.
I feel like I
Darcy-
just knew him surface level.
Yeah.
Get off your video game, you stupid idiot.
I'm not even playing right now. I'm actually out. I'm waiting to get back in. Darcy, I think Darcy is someone I wanted to play with, but as soon as I realized Darcy was talking to everybody, it just kind of Darcy went to power.
I think Darcy doing that was kind of very beneficial to my game on the simple fact that I didn't know who I wanted to target that round. And by the time I did know who I wanted to target that round, but they were HOH. So by the time Darcy did that, it opened an opportunity for Billy to not be nominated. And so keeping that alliance strong was my main priority.
So Cam, I just want to make sure, do you have any comments on Darcy?
No, me and them never really touched game. Like I said, every day, me and them would have like a 5-minute conversation about how just our day's going, and we hope everything's going good with each other. That was really it.
Well, and with that, we move into the realm of jury. There's a kind of middle ground with Gwen, the first juror
We're not talking
Okay, we're doing it.
by
We're doing
proxy.
actual.
by
We're doing
proxy.
actual.
We're gonna do it.
placement,
We're gonna
not-
do it by order
Okay.
because only 2 people need to be swapped. So,
Yeah,
That's fair.
uh,
Anybody want to start on Gwen?
Gwen.
I will since. Can I? Since I'm the one who betrayed her the worst.
Go ahead.
I feel so
Sure.
bad about it. I realized like shortly after I did it, it was mostly kind of jokey, but at that time it's like, oh, you guys are trying to go for my number one. Not gonna happen. So I feel bad that I kind of just spewed and leaked everything everywhere. But then again, she was doing the same thing, so not that bad for her. But
I think it benefited you in the end.
Oh,
I
it
have a
did.
confession to make. I have a confession to make.
You were the one who told everybody.
Yeah.
Did-
I made that up.
Was okay.
I knew about
I
that
said-
too.
wanted to make
I
sure
said
was
that-
Blake in any way.
Oh, Blake leaked it. Blake
Wait,
leaked it
so-
to me, and I leaked it to everybody.
Yeah,
Okay, but he wasn't the one who told everybody.
Blake was not the one to tell everybody.
Blake told Billy and
Okay.
Livy. Blake
Yeah.
told me, Billy, and Livy, and then me, Billy, and Livy told everybody.
Okay, as long as it wasn't like, because in all honesty, if it did turn out true,
And-
I would kind of be pissed because it's
At that point,
it's okay, but
at that point, I think me and Nick can kind of talk about that. How game move, we kind of at that point used that to paint Gwen as a target and get Gwen out of the game.
I mean,
And-
am I even told?
I was gonna talk about this earlier, but when Lee was HOH, I had wanted Gwen out because I know, like, I had just been fresh off of playing Trinity with her. Like, I love Gwen as a person, and having her as an ally is fantastic. But
when she's against
not
you,
having,
and-
yeah, when she's against you, it's scary. Like, Gwen is a really, really good player, and I knew that having Gwen in the house would be like very hindering to my game, especially because at that point we hadn't talked game. The only time we really talked was during her HOHs when she said, "I'm gonna keep you safe." And so that was like terrifying to me, just not having a solid alliance with her. So I was like, "Oh, she need to go." Like the door, because I was just really scared of Gwen being able to just go to like take it to the end with an alliance. So Cam kind of like opened a door for us on that one because we thought Michael was in the alliance, but turns out it was Lee.
Nope. Yep, and Lee's the one who made the chat.
Mm-hmm. I think Lee aligned himself with people that like we wouldn't have expected him to align himself with, and that's why it was so like. That's why we thought it was Michael. But then again, Michael was with Pete, so I guess we weren't really that far off.
Yeah, which is
Um,
another great regret of mine.
what, Michael?
No, Pete. And the day that I spent 20 minutes talking to somebody when I didn't have to.
OT.
I don't
We'll
know. I
get to
felt
that when we get to it.
Gwen's like someone I like. We just didn't talk. It was just weird, and then like I pawned her, and she knew about it, and then continually came for me, and it just didn't work.
I mean, not everybody's as cool as me.
How many times has
so-
Cam been on the block? 1, 2, 3, 4. Jesus. We really did you dirty this season, Cam.
Mm-hmm.
So, if y'all are ready, we'll move on. I just want
I
to say
am.
really quick. Gwen, I know, can be an especially strong player, and I think she really just got off on the wrong foot in this game. So,
No, I think she got off on the right foot. I just think her game blowing up really hurt her. Like, I feel like that being exposed with a alliance that was just as big kind of really hindered how she was going to move in the future.
so before we continue, Cam, did you just stab a whole steak with a fork and then dip it in ketchup?
What about
Did
it?
I see that right?
What about
Yes.
it?
I mean, I support it, but
I was
also,
gonna say, Jack, you're from Jersey. Steak and ketchup's a staple.
it's morally It's
Morally
morally
correct.
wrong.
It's morally
morally
wrong, but
wrong.
that's what I do, so it's fine.
So
I just noticed that Billy kind of has a Jersey accent, and I don't know how I haven't noticed it like the entirety of this game.
Thanks.
Like, it's not like TV shows bad, like where you watch Jersey Shore and it's like horrendous, but like
You're an idiot.
I can hear it.
Z just said because you're an idiot.
the farther
Fuck
away
off.
the farther away you are from the shore, the less of the accent you have.
Good week.
So we are going to move on to Annette.
She tried it. That's all I know. She tried it.
I was
My
actually
poor
kind of
little
really I was kind of really sad she went home only because I had to deal with a thorn in my side for a couple of weeks after that. I want to say 2 weeks after that.
Same. I'm still kind of
Because
feeling it.
3 weeks after that, I had to deal with a thorn in my side for 3 whole weeks because she quit the game. She was not going home that week. I was going to take her off the block. I was going to have people take her off the block. I get why she left because like physical
Hurtful.
reasons. But like I did not want to deal with Keaton, and Keaton was still in the game after she went home. But I also think her leaving really benefited me because I got that no HOH thing, and as much as it hindered me short term, it really helped me out long term. So we stand that. We support that.
Nice. Good one. Annette and I had a tumultuous relationship, to say the least. She was the recipient of my house meeting. And I will say, and she was right. I'm going to say she was right. I had no idea who is in the alliance, what the alliance was, but I knew she was in it. That she was the only person I knew that was in something, and I used that house meeting to drag it out of her.
I mean, I think one of her biggest mistakes was just not owning up to the fact that there was an alliance, especially after Pete got on call and was like, yeah, there's an alliance and this is who's in it. Because even after that, she was still like, I don't know about an alliance. And I'm like, girl, not blowing up your game even more.
So if we are all ready to move on,
Cameron hasn't talked. But
Bingo
I would like to speak on that.
me
with
I
her
would because
steak fork.
Because Cam was the one that fucked over Annette the most.
and not only that, but before even everything started, I promised her because she said she never made jury. I promised her she would at least make jury with me, and I kept my word. I kept my word. I did keep my word. I did backstab her very badly as well, but I did keep my word, and I just wish that I could have kept it a little bit better.
Cam really said, I'm going to let this
somewhat
alliance.
Responsible.
Cam really said, I'm going to let this alliance get jury, so I got jury votes.
Anyway, next person.
Yeah, and we are going to move on to the next person, which
Alex, my boy.
Alex, yes.
Can I talk
Another
about Alex last?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I feel kind of bad. Again, like this is going to be coming from me a lot because I was basically the key person for a lot of people going home. And this is the one where I feel really the worst because the plan, as far as I knew, the plan was it was going to be a 4-3 vote in favor of Alex. And God honest truth, if Lee had told me that he was not voting Alex, he was voting Nick, I would have voted Nick. But you didn't, Lee. So I did, and now we're here. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm moving on to Alex now. Alex is actually someone I wanted to keep in the game. Alex really did benefit a lot of what I wanted to do moving forward. But again, Alex had to sit next to Nick. I couldn't betray Nick. As much as I did consider it, I decided to actually keep my word, like I've done 85% of the season. And I decided to evict Alex, even though next week, the next person we're going to talk about is the reason why I
Oh no.
I don't want to
That was
talk
such a
about the
bad
next
week.
person, but Alex was robbed. Alex was a king. We didn't talk too much game-wise, but we did talk a lot on a personal level. Not really a
Alex,
lot. We did talk every day, and it was just nice to talk to him.
Alex was probably one of the coolest people in this cast to me. When who was HOH that week? When Blake put him up and he wasn't the one taken down. Who was the one taken down that week? Was it Pete? Pete was the one taken down that week.
Well, you have the notepad.
Oh yeah,
No, it
Keaton was the
Keaton.
one taken down. My stupid ass. I didn't write all that. But when Keaton was taken down and I was put in his place, I was kind of really upset that like Alex was the one against me, because Alex was somebody that I really wanted to work with as well, and somebody that I thought was a really great person, and probably one of the only people on like that side or like in the middle that had a chance against me, which kind of frightened me because everybody else was kind of a target.
I should have.
I think one of my best moves in this game was getting Cam to flip and getting Lee to flip, because I mean my mind. But
Imagine.
also I felt really bad because I do have lots of love for Alex, but it was you or me, bud. I'm sorry. I can't wait to talk about this next vile person.
How can I go last?
Who's next?
Livingston.
I'm sorry, Livingston. My plan was Billy, but Nick got in my ear.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Livingston, which
Daddy Sting.
Okay.
I mean,
whoever wants to start first. So Livy, you knew that you didn't have my vote that week. You didn't have Blake's vote that week. We told you after Billy left the Final Four chat. I told you that I needed Billy in this game because Livy, as much as I love you, as much as I adore you, you suck so fucking bad at competitions. And I can't have that in this game when I have somebody who went on to win 3 HOHs and 4 POVs that were in turn saving my ass. And I think Blake felt very similarly. I'm not quite sure why Lee saved Billy. That's kind of a question mark above my head at this point. But Cam was definitely the deciding vote on that, and me convincing Cam to save Billy kind of put the nail in your coffin, and I'm sorry, and I love you, and I know how happy I looked on like during that double on the double night, but I was very genuinely sad because that was the first crack in the LBNB alliance that fell.
Day one.
Yeah, and that's why I had to put up them two, is because I heard what everybody was saying, and I saw it. So I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen, so I still have the space in that Final Four.
The only thing I would like to talk about is about it was the complete wrong move to keep me in the game. I've made that painfully apparent.
Not for me.
I made that painfully apparent. I muted myself because I refused to campaign against Livingston. I did not want to campaign against Livingston. I did not tell anybody I wanted to stay. I might have said something like, it sucks that I'm leaving this week, but it did not mean that I wanted to stay. I expected a UNAN vote against me. That did not happen.
So was I.
And when I got 2 PMs from Lee saying, I'm saving you just so you don't go UNAN, and then Nick's like, I got me and Blake to flip, and I'm like, it's going to tie 3-3. So I immediately ran to Livingston in Morse code and told him they're tying the vote. And he's like, oh, that's weird. And then the tie vote happened. It is what it is. Big Brother
I'm
is
so
also a
sorry,
game.
Livy.
Big Brother is not only a game of strategy, it's also a game of luck. It was luck that I stayed, and I took
Oh,
it.
I
took
very
advantage of
much
that.
disagree. I
Luck
very much
every
disagree with
time.
that. I worked
Luck
my
every
ass
time.
off that entire vote to keep you. Don't even try
It's
it.
luck. It's completely luck. That I'm sitting here, it's luck. And I kept you safe, so don't do that. Don't do that.
I kept you safe twice, and we'll get to that. So
And I've had 3 HOHs, and I've kept you safe on all 3, so I'm still one ahead.
fuck off. I
Can we
had
just
an
move to the
HOH
next
too and kept you
person?
safe, so we're tied.
Oh, no,
We're
wait,
tied,
if the
whatever, but
next
you can't use
person-
that against me. I saved you in the tie vote against Alex. What's up? For 4-3, I could have flipped very easily.
I saved you in the tie vote against Pete and the tie vote against Livy. Guys, we'll get to that later though. Let's
So,
talk.
if everyone is ready,
That's what I'm
because
saying.
I feel
Yeah.
like this one is gonna be the one that takes over 10 minutes because I can just feel it.
Oh no, this one's not the one. The
This one's not
one's
coming
coming
up.
up in a few.
Yeah, the one's gonna come up soon. I would like to start with Keaton.
We will talk about Keaton.
Keaton is, without a doubt, the one person I grew really close to. 100%. I did not know Keaton coming into this game besides player-host relationships, and that's like non-existent. I did not know that. Me and Keaton talked for days. We would talk for days. We've been on multiple calls together, one-on-one. I was straight up with him when I put him up my first week, and he understood that. I told him that he was my target, and I wanted him to go home. He was making too many alliance chats. He was going way out of the way. I was clearly honest with him and most people during this game to tell them that I was either targeting them or I wanted them to go home. Keaton was not an exception to that rule. Keaton understood where I was coming from. Keaton came back in this game after that, wanted to work with me. We made a Final Five chat, which involved LBNB and Keaton.
Or Fantastic Four plus Smelly.
Yeah, plus Smelly. Yeah. So that was a chat that we had. I think I was going to confront. I was not going to confront. I was going to talk to Nick and Blake about how we should probably stop talking in there as much as we did, because we completely abandoned the LBNB chat and went to that chat. And I think that was our biggest mistake in this game as an alliance. If we just kept Keaton on a need to know basis, which we probably should have, things would have worked out a lot better. But instead, we leaked everything we wanted to do. And that was not smart by any of the 4 of us.
I mean, it definitely had its benefits.
It had its benefits of leaking because Keaton went wild with it instead of trying to rally everybody. He just went loud with it. But at the same time, if he did something actually strategic and decided to keep it quiet and moved on, he probably would have had some people against us. Keaton knows how I feel. I go on call with every day with Keaton every day. So
okay, Keaton. Oh my God.
It's the ghost of
Keaton knows that I love him more. Like, I love him very, very much as a person. The first 4 weeks in this game, when you were evicted originally, your biggest mistake was you made an alliance with me and Blake, and then you made an alliance with Billy and Livingston.
Yep,
and then you made an alliance with Lee. And the second I found out about all 4 of those, I ran to Billy and was like, this cannot be happening. Keaton needs to go. And I think you kind of knew the second that you were put up what was happening and why it was happening. When you came back in the game, I don't know what it was. I just felt like I could not trust you. And I felt that you felt you couldn't trust me. And I mean, I guess you were correct in that, because in my HOH, if Annette wouldn't have quit, I would have put you up and backdoored you. But I also feel that I wanted to backdoor you because you started doing the same things with making alliances, because Lee and Pete had both told me that, like, you wanted to take them far, you wanted to take Michael far, you want to take all these people far. And so in my mind, I was like, you can't just keep making all of these deals and not break one of them. Like, something's gonna break. A deal's gonna be broken. And at the end of the day, I just didn't feel comfortable. And I definitely had a bigger part in the second time he left than I did in the first time. I basically told Blake, if he didn't put you up, we're going to go back to back, which almost happened anyways. But
At that point, I think it was just everybody knew Keaton had to go, and if Keaton didn't leave HOH, I think it was a consensus among the 7 people left that, besides Michael, with the 6 other people, that Keaton needed to go at that point.
I don't really quite understand why it was Yunnan, because Keaton in the game, staying in the game was beneficial to some people.
Like Pete, Lee,
Lee, Michael. Like,
even
I don't
Cam.
understand why.
Even Cam
Yeah.
might have been more beneficial to keep Cam.
Yep.
But when he went Yunnan, it was kind of
Oh,
like
that worked pretty well.
a breath of relief. Because I didn't have to deal with him anymore. And as much as I love him, like, he's such a pain in the ass sometimes to deal with.
I love him. He's so good.
On a personal level, Keaton, I talk to him almost every day. We have conversations almost every day. And I love him as a person. Just as a player, if I see his ass on All-Stars, I'm going to cry. I'm going to sob.
You act like you're getting All-Stars.
Oh, baby, I'm making All-Stars.
I just don't know.
No.
I just do know.
Notes for the future. Make sure both Nick and Keaton are forced to play together in All-Stars.
I can't wait for, like, a rival season where they put me and Keaton on the same season and then Pete and Blake on the same season. That's going to be so good. I can't wait. And they put Billy and his insecurities on the same season. No, they're going to put Billy and Heather.
Sure, I'm insecure. Sure.
They're going to put Billy and Heather on the same season.
Sure.
I'm ready for
Anyway.
it.
We're gonna have a team named I'm Not Your Fucking Therapist.
Can the fat guy speak now?
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Anyway, I feel a little different because I never, like, this is not a relationship me and Keaton have. I do not talk to him at all. He did not make a final 2 with me. I'm kind of like, kind of pissed off. Like, what was wrong with me, bitch? I feel like the fat girl at prom. I'm a good person. Damn it.
Keaton was very much pushing the Gamers Alliance.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not a gamer.
Which was, and this is not to be reflected on your gameplay at all, but it was people who were actually actively trying in the game. And Keaton was and Nick can confirm, Keaton was very big on pushing for people who didn't, I quote, do not deserve to be here.
Which is why I said in that house
because
meeting that it was funny that Keaton was attacking me who couldn't win HOHs, because it just seemed like anybody who couldn't play the game to as extreme as he played it wasn't going to be aligned with him.
Right.
That is hilarious because I may not have had a presence in the chat.
Let's keep this one
You're
long.
sitting here, but you're sitting here. No, that's exactly my point.
I do my legwork behind the scenes.
Right.
I think your game kind of opened up like the further along we went.
Yeah, I think
yeah, because then I had less people to talk.
I feel like if we're playing a Survivor game right now, like we compare this to any Final 3 and like a Survivor game.
If we're Survivor,
I think this is Heroes versus Hustlers versus Healers or something like that. Your game got stronger as the jury phase hit.
I think it's Heroes versus Villains, and Cam is very much Sandra. We're like
anybody but me.
Telling me I'm gonna win.
Oh no, Cam is literally Sandra and Billy's literally Russell, and I'm just Barb sitting.
No, you're Russell. No, you're Russell.
No, because Sandra wanted Russell out so badly and then never did it. So
Billy,
I'm not vile like you.
You are vile. You are a vile human being.
I mean, I made Annette cry on call, so I get it.
You're literally Russell.
Graham, that means I'm getting no votes in the end. What the fuck?
That makes Blake Courtney.
Oh,
Blake
no.
is Courtney. That's so bad.
That's so disgusting.
Billy said, "Court, it's time to go."
I did. We're gonna get to that in a second.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this next one. It makes me really sad.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Mm-hmm. The next person down the line.
Do we have to?
We have to. It might
But we
suck
could-
for some of you.
Oh, it's going to suck.
Not for me.
Fuck off, you stupid piece of shit.
I mean, I know what I have to say.
All right, then you can go first since you know what you have to say.
All right, Blake Murphy.
Yep.
I love you. You love me. But I had a giant hand in why you left at Final 7. Jack was on the call for the HOH. I threw that Final 7 HOH so you would go home.
I cannot confirm or deny.
But Lee and Pete did come to me, and we did have a deal, whatever you want to call it, that they were coming after Nick and Blake first rather than me after Livingston left. So at that point, with only Michael, who I knew wouldn't put me up at that point, or at least I didn't think he would put me up at that point, and Lee and Pete, who promised me that I wasn't going up as a initial nom or a renom before the HOH. If he won, I dropped. I could have very much won that competition.
We know. We very much know.
The hamstring.
It did. Well, actually, that kind of wasn't fake. I was in a lot of pain, but there was no.
But he would have kept going.
I would have kept going.
Fuck you.
I knew that Billy didn't have like a cramp because his like home, like especially a Charlie horse of all things, because his whole muscle would have been like contracting, and I could see his entire leg on the screen, and so I was like, this asshole is literally faking it. I am literally going
so
out because Billy's
it wasn't
a
like
piece of shit.
It wasn't like I didn't. The thing is, the way I wanted Blake out of the game and kind of orchestrated it, I didn't want to be the one to take Blake out of the game, but I wanted someone else to do so.
I think that HOH was also like the second I knew that Michael and Pete were close.
Right.
Because Michael like screamed at Pete on call, and I was like, "Are you kidding? Like, is he being for real right now?"
I should have caught on that.
Yeah. So that was my if I had to say my claim to fame move, would have been that.
Nick, you want to go next, or should I?
I think Nick should go last.
Yeah, I'll go last.
Okay.
I have a lot to say about this week.
That was very hard. It's like I came in knowing that, thinking I was going to be safe no matter what, even if a renom happened. That it would not have been me because of how many people were talking at that time. I did not know he was putting up Nick and Blake. Did not. I had a feeling he would
Such
put
a
up
bad
Nick.
week.
I didn't think he would have put up Blake. So
Interesting.
I'm just saying he hated you more than Blake.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, but it just got to the point for me that week where I saw myself in a no-win situation where if I had one veto, not used it, Nick and Blake would be pissed at me. One veto, used it against Blake, use it for Blake, the ones who at that time were in power and I felt perceived as being the ones in the most power would have been pissed at me. So I will admit I did throw that POV. I did not mean to throw it. The second
you dropped from the POV, me and Blake looked at each other and knew. I was like, Kim just fucking threw this thing.
No. Legit though, I did not plan to go that soon. So I planned on walking into it, and then it was an actual, like, I did not know the answer. Because I was waiting for, like, round 4 or 5, not round 2. That's too obvious. But anyway. So then, when Nick came down and I had to be the one sitting next to Blake, it kind of stung a lot. Because I couldn't even be happy knowing that it was going to be another like Heather week where I know I'm staying, but it was more stinging because I didn't want my friend to go.
That I think, and Cam, I love you more than anything in the world, but that was the one week that didn't go my way. Like at the end of the day, keeping my boyfriend in the game was number one priority. Did I get it to tie?
It was a tie, but Pete did only choose Blake over me. And again, I with the vote who voted me, I completely understand why they voted me. Billy was kind of like restitutions because I put him in Livingston up. Nick, he couldn't vote for Blake. And then I don't remember who the other vote was or who it would have been.
Lee.
Me and
No,
Heather
Lee
voted.
voted against Blake. Because it was 2-2.
Oh yeah, it was
No.
2-2.
Yeah, it was 2-2.
So yeah,
I
knew
okay.
why Nick really voted for me, but at the same time, it's not.
Blake Murphy, you are the love of my life. I love you so much. However, getting you out of this game, or you leaving this game, because I didn't have any part in getting you out of this game. Well, you leaving this game benefited me so much. It basically made my threat level 0. I wasn't really a threat to anybody's eyes, which really also benefited me as well. I like, that was probably the worst feeling eviction ceremony I've ever been through. Like, I genuinely know what Billy was feeling, and granted, I wasn't up against Blake in that moment, but it just, like, it stung really bad, and it sucked. Boo. But yeah, actually, I'll talk about that in about 2 more people, so we'll stick to that.
So, if everyone
Just a
is
moment.
ready to move on, and I'll check with Nick. Nick, you good? Okay. We are then going to move on to Lee.
The only thing I can say about Lee is he was close to staying if he didn't freak the fuck out.
I think.
Because like
I don't think so.
No,
I think,
like he had me and Nick voting.
But he
for
also
him.
had that extra vote.
Yeah, but that would have been 3-1.
I don't.
No, Pete was keeping Michael no matter what.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't believe that fully.
I think no. He Michael and Pete had a final 2 on
Let
day
me
1.
let me not. I'll wait till jury. If I'll wait to get the final 2 before I elaborate more on that point.
Okay.
Yeah, Pete and Michael definitely had a final 2, like from the jump. However, I think for my personal game, getting Lee out of the game at 6 kind of made my game a lot harder. Like, to get to where I am. I feel like if Lee would have stayed and Michael would have left, and like say Billy would have saved Lee in the tie, I feel like Lee would have saw that Pete was a lying ass fake ass, which we'll get to next.
Oh, yeah.
And would have saw that he didn't really have his back, and would have worked with me a lot closer, and it would have definitely benefited me. However, yeah, I definitely believe that he would have. I 100% believe he would have. You can say no all you want, but he definitely would have worked with me.
Listen, the difference is what Lee told me and what Lee told you is 2 completely different things.
I guess.
And apparently what Lee told me is something completely different altogether. Yay.
Right.
I think at that point in time, my thought process in that moment was getting you out as the best plan. I did consider keeping you. Me and Cam very strongly considered keeping you because we assumed that Pete was going to keep you. It was something that ran through my mind a lot, but at the end of the day, I had to keep the people that were loyal to me, and at that point in time, Billy was the most loyal to me. And doing what Billy wanted was top priority because he did try and save Blake. He did save me against Alex. He was working with me since day 1. So at that point, it had just been Billy could play in HOH next week. Cam was voting with me, and those 2 I needed next the week after. So doing what was best for the group consensus of the 3 of us was what I needed to do. And Cam had messaged me like a half hour before that and was like, yeah, let's just vote out Lee.
No, it was like, I think it was like right as Lee was freaking the fuck out. And he's like, I messaged him and he's not answering. I'm like, okay, this guy's a little bit too emotional for my ass right now.
Wait till next week, Cam.
Oh, no. You mean the week that I actually had to hop off the call real quickly because I was going to start crying?
Or the week where I forgot that you were on the phone with your family and spammed the fuck out of you?
So, I haven't given my take on Lee yet. Lee and I we didn't really talk too much. We definitely had conflicting interests because of surviving 1984. That was definitely something that like really kind of early on affected my game a little bit. But playing multiple orgs with the same person, it gets a little frustrating trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Nick can attest to that.
You're telling me.
Yeah. So, playing with Lee, it was frustrating a little bit just because I felt like it was just real hypocritical on times where I was expected to do things, but Lee was also not expected to do things as well. Like for example, he nominated me week 2 as a pawn. I could have used Lee as a pawn during my double eviction HOH against Keaton. I decided not to because that was my mentality this game. HOHs that put me up, I never returned the favor with initial nominees. I never put Lee. The only person I didn't put Lee. The only person I did do that to was Lee, and that was later in the game. When that was week 2 when Lee nominated me, I didn't nominate Lee until week 6, final 6. Cameron, I have never nominated as an initial nominee, even though Cameron put me up twice. Because I realized what was best for me in that moment was Lee needed to go. I felt like Lee was the glue holding Michael to Pete a little bit and try to fracture that a little bit. Because Lee was close to Pete, Lee was close to Michael. So like did I take out the wrong person? Maybe. But Lee was not going. At least I could possibly work with Michael down the road. At least I could possibly work with Pete down the road. Lee was just giving me all sweet nothings. My PM saying, "Oh, I won't nominate you next week," and I was kind of tired of it. The plan was a 2-2 tie for the longest time, and then became 4-0.
Because he freaked the fuck out.
It was supposed to be 2-2. Like the votes were already set in stone. It's supposed to be 2-2, and I was going to evict Lee, and I told Lee that.
But the votes weren't supposed to be 2-2 the way you thought they were 2-2, or you thought they were going to be 2-2, because we had all assumed that Pete was going to save Lee, and then it just got it. Or no, yeah, and it just got a jumbled mess. And it was
a little bit.
I just found out who got sent home in Trinity, and it's spicy.
Well, I mean, all the deception.
Why am I not? Wait. Can I know?
I'll write it in the chat. I don't want to say it on here.
Oh God, I'm hoping it's not one person, but I really hope it is one person.
Like all the deception are people who voted.
No.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah.
Why?
I'll explain it. I can't explain anything actually because I'm not in the game.
That's actually nasty.
That's
nasty.
Why do we move to Pete?
Why don't we not? Can we skip Pete?
No, skipping is not allowed.
But wait, can I say one more thing about Lee? Because one thing that he brought up that was extremely I didn't like it, but it's whatever.
Wait.
Lee told me that my game relationships and personal relationships were meshed together. He said that I was using personal connections to try and further myself in the game. And anybody who knows me, that is absolutely 100% not the truth. I got to know these people individually, and I love them outside the game. There is no reason to think that I would manipulate a personal relationship to benefit me further into a game. And that's 100% the truth.
So I meant to say this earlier. And since you guys won't see this till after finale night, I would just like to say, Keaton, I'm so sorry I had to lie on your name. Keaton never said anything to me. Keaton, about my power.
That was obvious.
I completely used Keaton and the fact that he was gonna blow up regardless in my favor. I'm sorry I love you. Lee, I'm sorry I lied to you. I just had to get Keaton out of the game.
Billy, I don't think it was obvious seeing how Cam was in pure shock at that, but
no, my team can be summed up in 3 words. Last 2, no. That was my game this time. 3 words. Last 2, know everything.
I had to lie. I had to get Keaton out of that game, and it worked, so. All right,
well, if everyone's ready to move on, we'll move to 5th place, being...
Everybody quiet.
Pete.
I call first on this one.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
So, that was my like I came this close to messaging production being like I'm out because that week from both I love you Nick, you and Pete during the entire time it was like I was telling you both like I'm taking you both with me and both of you were getting like on my shit about it.
Okay, so
it wasn't how you guys exactly wanted it. And
so
I understand for you it was more like my
the thing with that was Pete was never gonna bring me. And at that point, you couldn't compete in HOH, so you had no chance of even deciding whether you could take me or not. And that's what scared me, was that Pete was not going to take me, Michael was not going to take me.
And I understand that, but like I said, I had this entire plan down. I even told you my plan was if you were in the initial nom, I was going to throw veto to you to take yourself off, since I wouldn't be able to take you off. Or if we were both noms, I would use it on you so that we could get the other one up. Like, that was my entire goal and game plan. But no. You didn't like it, which I understand why, because, you know, yours was a little bit more of a in the flow situation. With Pete, he was dead set on having it being Billy and Nick as initial noms. That didn't work for me. Because even though they knew I wanted Billy out, the fact that I could not fully trust them, mostly Michael, I could not risk getting Nick up. So both Nick and Pete were in my DMs the entire time. Nick wasn't sugarcoating it or trying to be passive aggressive. He thought I said I was being stupid.
Oh, I very much was very upset that whole week.
Pete, on the other hand, he was very passive aggressive. He was very like using manipulative tactics that, you know.
The thing with Pete is like he would literally sit there and tell Cam, "I'm gonna quit. Like if you put up Michael, I'm gonna quit."
Yeah.
Can I ask a production question real quick? This is not gonna be seen by the jury until afterwards, right?
Yes, this is 100% not being mentioned until after the game is completely over.
Okay, I was gonna just say, because I have something I want to say about Pete, but I don't want to affect any type of jury vote moving forward.
Billy said I want to talk shit, but I don't want.
I do. I told people I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna be 100% honest here. Pete, you were passive aggressive and narcissistic. You felt as though if you didn't get your way, you felt it was okay to come to people's PMs and just attack them. It might have not have been personal attacks, but the way you would say things were so like rude and ignorant that I was just kind of done with your shit. At Final 6 HOH, you came in my PMs and worked on me for an hour to try and convince me to quit the game because I am a bad person for putting whoever I put up. And that was extremely inappropriate. I want to get to know you as a person, but the fact that you came in here from Tumblr 2020 and gave me this sob story about how you're being picked on, and I don't believe that. I think you deserved everything you got. I think what you did in this game was to try and get back at people for Tumblr 2020, and we're a completely different cast. I just think that was extremely inappropriate. I would have never played like that. I think that was very slimy, very low, and I think I like you as a person. I think the way you played this game was disgusting.
Yeah, and like the main thing that was making me like, you know, lay my head to the side and be like, I don't want to watch this, and I didn't really want to have my headphones on at the time, was he just kept on saying, Cameron, I told you this was going to happen. He told me that Nick would cause chaos to try to get me to go his way. And
if anything, I caused the chaos, not me.
No, I definitely caused the chaos in PMs with Cam. However, the thing about that, and I'll talk about my personal feelings with Pete in a minute, but the thing about that was if it was Final 9 in the nom set, or Final 10, and let's say Billy was in the place that I was, and it was against Alex, and I knew the vote was going to tie, and Cam was HOH, and I was like, Cam, you have to keep Billy. You have to keep Billy. Like, it's going to be the best for your game. Like, that's something that you can call and be like, they're in an alliance. But we're at Final 5, and Can you give me 1 second? I'm on a call. Okay. Can you give me 1 second? Thank you. Anyways, yes, that was my mother.
Love her.
But when I have only 2 paths to the final 2, and one of them is being nominated over and over and over again, and one of them is to just like kind of slide to final two, of course I'm going to choose the latter. Of course, or final three, sorry. Of course I'm going to choose the latter. Of course I'm going to choose the one thing that like is obvious. Like I don't want to be, if I know that Cam is going to keep me in a vote or Cam's going to be against me in a nomination chair, like of course I'm going to choose the one where Cam's saving me or where I'm saving Cam, like either way. I don't want to be put against Cam, especially with two people in a game that want me out. Like that's scary. I would rather be against Michael, who is a big threat in this game and who probably would beat all three of us in the jury, like questioning. So I mean, it was just an obvious choice for me. I know it was very stressful for Cam, but
I think that like again, this is kind of where Cam saved me in a tie vote again. This one I don't think was the wrong move. I think this one was 100% the correct move here, and I will again replicate that in saying the numbers in which I go home at final five. Nick can't play an HOH. You can't play an HOH. Leaves it completely to Pete and Michael. What happens if Nick wins POV?
And at the end of the day, we saw how like shitty I was at that competition. And sorry, Cam, but we saw how shitty you were at that competition. So
I
it would have
winning for a second.
So it would have been me against Pete,
and if Pete would have beat me,
if Pete would have beat me, then it would have been me going home, you getting third. Because at the end of the day, as much as Pete told you that he was taking you to the end, as much as Michael told you he was taking you to the end, they were taking each other.
Right.
No, here's the funny thing. Pete didn't tell me he was taking me to the end with him. He told me that at final three, he would drop to make it me and Michael in the final two.
The thing is, and that's the thing I don't respect. And like that's another thing about Pete.
Well, that's because Pete knew at that point you both were taking him.
Oh fuck yeah! If I made it to the final, if I won against him, I'm taking the one nobody likes.
Oh, that was my plan the whole time. My plan the whole time was to take Pete. As soon as final six rolled around and I got rid of Lee, my plan was to take Pete to the end. I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, now I want to talk. Is everybody done talking about Pete on a personal level? Because I
just have one last thing to say. It was after he got eliminated. Like y'all saw, I was very like I didn't know when I said Pete's name, it didn't.
Yeah, you said I vote to evict. Hang
and
up.
Then left.
Because I was legit close to tears and I did not want to cry on camera.
Right.
So I was like having to, through tears, message production being like, I said Pete. And then he just comes around saying, thank you again for backstabbing me. You're a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. Middle finger emoji. That's more telling that people actually saw I was physically upset having to do that.
And the thing is, and it's like you knew if you evicted me, all's well. Like that's the thing. I would have never treated you like that.
I honestly feel like you would have came to me and be like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah, I would have came to you. I would literally, if I got evicted at 5, I would have been like, listen, I understand that was rough. Are you good?
Yeah.
And the thing is, and when I stayed, I didn't message you just because I didn't want to pressure. I didn't want to pressure and just be like, listen, thank you for I wanted to say that. I want to say thank you for saving me. I really appreciate it for the second time that you kept me in the game. But I didn't want to pressure you, and I didn't want to put you in that situation where like you felt you needed to answer and deal with the game when you were clearly emotionally over the game for a little while. Yeah. So like that is my thank you now.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. And definitely the closest I ever came to talking from anything.
Okay, now I wanna talk for a minute. First and foremost, Pete, I think Jack can attest, as he played 1984 with me, I bit my tongue a lot this game. I did not say half of the things that I wanted to say to you on a personal. I did. I really did. I came to your PMs. I came to Cam's PMs. I came to Lee's PMs. Blake's and Billy can attest. At the beginning of the game, when it was the 4 of us, when we were discussing like who to put up against Gwen when we were gonna do Gwen, I said Pete. I said Pete is shady. I don't trust him. Like Pete just seems sketchy to me. And after a while, when you and Lee started to like flourish as a relationship, I was kind of like, oh, well, I trust Lee. Like Lee is somebody that I trust in my personal life. So like maybe I'm just kind of like off about this assessment of somebody's character, because if Lee trusts you, then maybe I can trust you. And I did for a little bit. I very much entrusted I wanted to go far with you and Lee. I wanted to work things out with you and Lee, but I just felt like you weren't really interested in that, and which is fine. Like you don't have to take me to the end. I don't have to take you to the end. Like that's anybody's motive, or not motive. That's anybody's. That's free will. That's your decision. However, the personal attacks of me and my boyfriend in this game, specifically my boyfriend when he was outside of the game, were absolutely ridiculous. You calling me a bully and then going around to people's PMs talking shit about them and basically just being an asshole the entire, like you called me the bully of the season, but you are literally the bully of the season. And that's not like, you can call it gameplay, you can call it whatever you want, you can call me a crybaby, but at the end of the day, I did not personally attack any single person in this game besides you during that house meeting, and I called Cam stupid for not saving Billy at the time. I said you're gonna look really stupid when you don't keep Billy. And that was the only times I've ever personally attacked anybody in this game. Besides Heather at the beginning of the game.
Which, by
Jury
the way, knowing you, just calling you stupid, that was really weak game for you. Like, you
well,
must have off.
I tried really hard not to play this game emotionally and not to let people get to me. And sometimes they did get to me. Pete knew how to get under my skin like Heather knew how to get under Billy's. Like, he really knew how to irk me. Pete is probably the most hypocritical person I know. I admit, I'm the first person to admit, when I don't get my way, I throw a fit. I'm a baby. Cam told me that he was evicting Billy, and I flipped the fuck out. I'm a big baby bitch. We understand that. However, you can't sit there on the same coin. The second something doesn't go your way, like when Lee gets voted out, tell Billy he needs to quit because he's a shitty game player. The second you go home, message Cam and say, you're a backstabbing bitch, fuck you. When things don't go your way, you flip out on people. You did it to Blake, you did it to Billy, you did it to Cam, you did it to Lee. I've heard that you've been really shitty to Lee in Ponderosa. I don't know specifics because Blake won't tell me specifics because it's not Ponderosa, Jury House.
Devil's advocate on that one. Technically, Lee did start that one. Just a little bit of devil's advocate on that one. So I feel like it may be more of a mutual thing.
Well, no, I've been told that like Lee has basically like been like, you hurt me, and Pete has been like, that's your problem. Like I don't care.
Oh no.
And I feel like you just have this disconnect with emotions. You're not very empathetic. You're not very empathetic. It's like Cam said, borderline sociopathic, how you just don't care about others' emotions. I feel like you played a very vile game. I feel like a lot of the things you said were unnecessary to your game. Calling me a bully was unnecessary to your game. Calling me a hypocrite was unnecessary to your game, especially when it wasn't on a game level. Sitting there questioning my relationship on, okay, and just so everybody fucking knows, when Blake swore on our relationship, that was a lie. He swore on a lie. However,
I knew that.
Blake had sat there for 10 minutes trying to avoid the question, and I knew at the end of the day, if Blake wouldn't have swore on it, he would have went home and he would have like been the next target. So I texted him and I was like, just lie. Like, I don't care, it's fine. Like, I know you're doing it. I know that like you got permission from me first, just lie. And so like that's kind of like the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life, because I knew about it. It'd be different if he was like, I swear in our relationship, and he didn't tell me he was going to do that at first. But the fact that I was on the call, I was listening to him like basically get verbally jumped, and he couldn't really do anything about it. Of course I'm going to give him an option. I'm not going to sit there and let him go home over something stupid. And then like to sit there and say that yours and Lee's relationship is stronger and then vote Lee out of the game, like, kind of makes you look stupid. I don't really want to know you I thought I wanted to know you as a person before this game started, and during this game, I thought you were a really cool person. Like, we're from the same city. Like, we literally were raised 5 minutes away from each other. And so I don't know if, like, after this game you want to maybe I just don't know. I don't really have any intentions of being friends with you after this game. I feel like you were very rude and very nasty to me for no reason. Sometimes you were rude and nasty to me for a reason, but a lot of it was just you being mean to be mean, and I'm not really here for that. I don't play a mean game, or at least I don't try and play a mean game. I don't try and, after 1984 and seeing how I treated Jack and Julian and how I made Julian cry and want to quit the game and how I made Jack very upset, like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person that makes people quit with their words. And, like, sometimes I put myself back in that headspace where I'm like, well, if they quit, it's fine. Like, I literally told Cam after Pete threatened to quit, let him quit. Because at that point, that's game. At that point, it's, if Pete wants to throw a fit all the time and wants to be a hypocrite and blame me for shit and blame Billy for shit and blame Blake for shit and blame Cam for shit for his mistakes in this game, let him quit if he wants to quit. If he's going to be that much of a brat, let it happen. And I just, like, there's time and place for things. And you definitely didn't know the time and you definitely didn't know the place. And I just thought you were very hypocritical this whole game and borderline sociopathic at times.
Okay, not that wasn't riveting, but I have like 8% remaining on my computer. I have to do funky shit with my charger to get it to charge. Can we move on to Michael? And I go first?
Yeah, you can go first, yeah.
Okay, you good with that, Jack? Okay, so Michael, didn't really get to talk to you. You were kind of like with Billy. Only really talked to you when I really needed to. In the beginning, at the end, me and you started to have a good rapport. Feel kind of bad that you had to go, but at the same time, it was either me or you, so not that bad. It's just the ghost of all the evicted house guests is coming for your phone next day.
That's why you guys should take me to Final 2. They're just knocking me down because they hate
right?
me.
But anyway, not so much you can say for somebody who didn't win challenges post-merge, really, but that's why I was kind of wanting him in the final, because like I could easily say, look at the fat kid who won more challenges.
I think that was strategy, though. I think he won 5 challenges or 6 challenges pre-merge and kind of like toned it down because he saw how big his threat level was getting. But I think there were also challenges where he really just flopped at, like the last Final 4. Michael, you're a really good person. I think you just aligned yourself with the wrong people. I feel like if you would have aligned yourself with somebody like Cam or somebody like me or somebody like Billy, you could have definitely been here right now. I feel like having Pete was kind of not a crutch. A crutch.
You're
It
looking
was
for
a crutch.
handicap. I thought you were gonna say handicap.
Not a crutch. Yeah, it was a handicap. Because a crutch, like, it helps you. I think it was kind of a handicap to you. I feel like Pete kind of not only blew up his own game at Final 5, I feel like he kind of blew up your game at Final 5. Because I feel like at Final 5 in that moment, if Michael would have won up, I think Billy still would have gone home. Because the basis of Pete staying was the fact that Pete wouldn't use veto on you. So yeah. Take it over to Billiam.
Michael, what people really don't know about me and you, we had an alliance day 1 as well.
Oh, are we shocked? No. I'm looking at that veto that you used on Michael when
Myself,
Keaton went home.
Blankel, Livingston formed the cream.
I know about that.
I told you that. I told you about it, yeah. Formed
I know about that
the
second
cream,
it was made.
the cream head egg rolls, which later transformed into the Powder Puff Girls.
Puff Girls.
In some capacity, we did talk a lot. I did trust you. We did have a lot of discussions where we were talking game and stuff. I didn't want to come down. It came down to me versus you for Final Four, and that just seemed like the way it came. That's where everything happened there. Sorry it had to be the way it was. You did come with a last-second plea to implicate me because you would take me to the end, but again, like it's been mentioned previously, I'm pretty sure you would have swept the jury if you were in the finals. And at that point, I did need to do what was best for me. I put you up next to Nick. I won the veto, took Nick off, put Cam up, made sure that Nick's penalty vote would serve later on just in case. Because if I am sitting next, I mean, it doesn't even matter because if I'm sitting next to Nick in Final 3, I still go home anyway. But I just didn't want any funky business going on where Cam decides to take out Nick, and then this me versus Michael for Final HOH, where Michael probably would beat me. At this point,
I mean, you got that right.
I mean, I took my chances. At this point, I have to win out, and affirmatively, I'm going to try and make this 3 straight competitions. I'm just hoping that something I can actually do. Michael, that alliance was iconic. We talked a lot. I'm sorry I had to vote. Sorry I had to put you up. You were the biggest threat to my game. At this point, it seemed like ever since Final 8, it seemed like if it was just win or go home, it had to be someone it was either my closest allies had to win or I had to win or I was going home. And for me to be sitting here right now is just honestly a shock that I was the big threat that needed to go home and I'm sitting here.
It's a shock to everybody right now, mostly me. Even though I'm literally like 90% of the reason why.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say that he was trying to say why you're here.
I mean, I guess, but that's.
And
that's definitely an opinion to have, but.
Well, it looks like we have reached the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
However, if you guys want to, you can also discuss your other competitors.
I would like to go first.
I want to talk about third place, Billy Vance.
So, I guess because Cam will be gone first, we can talk about Cam first. Okay, I phrased that wrong.
Cam can go first. Talk about us.
Yes.
Stupid idiot.
Okay, I think I might have actually gotten in a good position for a while, but I'm still going to go first just in case I'm wrong. But I will say this: in the entire game, other than Caleb and Brian, I've talked to the least to Billy. Straight up. So the fact that I'm sitting in the Final 3 with him when I had the chance twice and wanted to get rid of him, all because some people got in my head and I started to think differently and see things differently. That's a little scary to me. But I can't fault Billy for that. That's why I really don't want him to sit next to me in the Final 2, because he can clearly claim social and strategic, because I was targeting him very hard twice. Both times he stayed by my vote. So, kind of don't want him sitting next to me. And then with Nick, God love him. Just God love him. Oh, you know it. Me and you, like I said during my plea to get ready to keep me. Our relationship has always been tumultuous. It started out us
Throwback to those 10 gauge drag race days.
Oh God, don't remind me of those days. But it started out back then. It was just, in all honesty, what I think at that time it was 2 very similar personalities just butting heads. Now we're both older. We both can see each other's ways. We've both matured in a way to where we're not going to, go down each other's throat at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
What he said about Blake. If he was Blake's number 1, I was Blake's number 2. Even though me and Nick didn't really talk until later on, I could say the same. Blake was my number 1. Nick was my number 2. Because I knew It's working with like I automatically knew I had a second vote. Seriously, I'm trying to be nice to you, and your phone does that. That is a very homophobic phone.
It is a very homophobic phone. Billy, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Oh, you can go.
I'm shocked that I'm here. I'm not shocked who I'm with. I'm shocked that I made it this far. I've never made it this far in a game. That's kind of all new to me. I'm trying to like figure out a path and what is right and what is wrong. But I'm definitely not shocked with who I'm here with. You two, barring Blake, were my closest allies in this game. You two were the only two that I really could rely on or could trust, especially after Blake left. Once Blake left, it was kind of like, wow, like I'm really alone. And you two are the only two that really made me feel any sense of not even security, but just kindness. Like, yes, Lee was kind to me. Yes, Michael was kind to me, but like, you guys had my backs, and I very much appreciate that. That made me feel really nice and warm and fuzzy inside. I honestly couldn't pick a better final three. I'm really happy to be here with you guys. So yeah.
Final three talk. Straight up, this is a great final three. We all have different qualities of reason why we're here. I think that at this point, I don't think there's a certain person who wins, a certain person who loses at this point. I think all of us are going to receive votes in some capacity, because there are qualities to games that moved on. Mine was a more physical game. I made sure I kept who I wanted to keep safe, and I kept them moving forward. Nick's was more of a social game. They kept whoever they felt was best, especially top two examples, Cam keeping me twice. Cam's game was very strong moving forward because when Cam needed to win those competitions, instead of being the pawn, Cam actually won those competitions. They were not joke competitions. Those competitions were serious. Those competitions were hard. So I do give Cam a lot of props for that. The way Cam was able to transform their image from the pre-merge to the merge was extreme. I keep talking Survivor lyrics. Pre-jury to jury was I feel like it's two completely different games. I feel like I played with two different players. I never want to be fake to Cam, so Cam and I never had any real conversations. I would love to actually get to know you as a person after the season's over. You know that. But it's nothing personal. I do enjoy your presence. It was just that neither of us really benefited each other's games moving forward. We'd always been either taking on somebody on the other side or just whatever. I didn't want to give you that fake loyalty. I wanted to give you what I thought was the real talk, and was like when we won competitions, we talked to each other, see what was up. That's it. Yeah. I didn't go out of my way to make sure that people knew that I was partially loyal to them. You knew when I was nominating you. You knew when you were going up. It just is what it is. Everybody knew when they were going up. The only person that might not be able to say that would be Michael at Final Four. But like again, Michael knew they were going up. Or actually, no, sorry, Final Six. Michael, because I tried to make it look like I was more loyal to Michael than I was to Nick, which was not the truth. I've mostly kept my word. Nick and I have been rolling since day one. It is what it is. That at this point, it's me or him, me or them. But at this point, friends versus friends don't mean anything. Me and Nick talk every day, outside game, but don't matter. It's at this point, I think both of our best game moves are not to take each other to the end because we have a lot of conflicting jurors. So I do hope that I think the next few competitions are going to be kind of obvious at this point. I'm more than likely not going to compete in the physical aspect because if it is endurance, I don't think, no offense, Cam, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think either of us are going to win that competition.
I mean, should you just give me the win at this point?
I'm going to try, but
Okay.
I don't think I'll last that long. It just really depends on what the competition is, because if it is a competition that requires movement, it could be possibly that I can stay more still or whatever. But if it's just a straight like wall sit, there's no point in competing.
Oh, give me a wall sit, Z. Give me a wall sit.
I just think at this point the game is very clear. The game is very cut and dry. If I do not win, I go home. Why? I don't know. Because at this point, Nick has had their hands on a lot of evictions moving forward, and they're bringing that up. So that is my campaign speech.
So
just because I won competitions doesn't mean I'm going to win at the end.
Billy won 7 competitions.
So what about it?
So
I also have been on the bottom in a lot of this. Billy has also had his hand in a lot of evictions. So I just wanted to throw that
I
right out
haven't been
there.
able to vote in a lot of evictions.
I just wanted to throw out that Billy also backstabbed his number 2/3 ally Pete. Or no, at the time it was his
Pete.
number 1/2 ally Blake. He threw a competition knowing Blake was going home. Just wanted to throw that one out there.
Well, because if Blake won 7, at that point, if Blake wasn't able to compete at 7, all 4 of us stay. Final 6, what happens? I might not win that final 6 HOH. All strategy, baby.
So if you guys are good, I just want to wrap this up. So
you really want to get to the jury roundtable, don't you?
No, I actually have to get to something else for an entirely different org.
Yeah.
Okay, booty call? Oh.
What?
Did you really just say it out loud?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Jack has a dick appointment to get to.
Does it involve?
Jack has a dick appointment to get to.
Anyway.
Anyway, I just I want to say like how proud I am of the 3 of you. You guys have each played amazing games. I can't
sure, whatever,
place a
Jack.
bet.
You're only saying that because we can count faster than you.
Not me. I can't remember 9.
1, 2, 4, 8, 5. But either way, Nick, I just want to say how much you have improved personally from playing in 1984.
Wow, really paint that target on my back, Jack. Don't.
Oh, I'm painting everyone. So, Nick, you've personally improved so much. I am so happy.
God.
Did it spike? Did it really?
Just a little bit. You're fine. You're fine.
Can't have it without it. I'm just so proud of how you saw the obvious faults in your 1984 game and completely rearranged them, and obviously got you somewhere. Billy.
That's on period.
I think the last time that I played anything with you was during a Suitman game where I got kicked out early for 12th in the Genius, and you beat my ass. So
disgusting.
I've personally never seen you in org. If you have, that's just me being an idiot as normal.
He literally just played Surviving, you idiot.
I played Surviving where I pre-merged, Trinity where I pre-merged, so you're not missing anything.
But either way,
it was so good.
You played a great physical game. It's what I wanted to play in 1984. So,
insert. Wait. Pause.
Insert Jack crying gif.
Yes. Let me find
You
out.
are so mean to poor Jack.
Why would I be
flash
nice
through the other 2? But and then finally, I'm going to go to Cameron. Cameron, you were someone I'm pretty sure everyone wasn't expecting to go far. I'm sorry to say that.
It's okay.
But you absolutely demolished my expectations. You are.
I am the wrecking ball.
Oh my god, I don't even know what to say. I personally had beef with you, I think, before this game due to Ultimate Stars, that old thing way back.
You mean the thing that almost Blake had, where me and Blake used to be enemies and now we're the best of friends?
Uh-huh. That. Yeah, 3-4 years ago at this point.
Hey, Billy.
That game.
This was Jack after Shootman's.
Yeah, after I got dragged to 4th. All right, I really got to get going, so let's wrap this
Okay.
up. I
Well,
dinner.
thank you guys so much for being here. There are only a couple days left in the season, and honestly, I can see any of the three of you winning. So,
sure,
play your
whatever.
cards right. You have one more competition to get through. Well, 3 going into 1.
Stupid
And
idiot
then-
doesn't know how to count.
Yeah, I can't count. You know this. Well, either way, good luck. One of you is a found member of the jury. One of you is second place. And one of you is the winner of this game. We just need to figure out who those are.
This is going to be fun.